And we caught Greg in a sip. Yes! Awesome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good whatever it is, wherever you are, whoever you are. And welcome once again to Nerd Week Live. 2 weeks and I forgot the name of our show. And we caught Greg in a sip. Yes! And awesome. I've also got my own sound. Hold on here, hold on. Whatever it is, wherever you are, whoever you are. And welcome once again to Nerd Week Live. I've got it on multiple platforms. Why am I... 2 weeks and I forgot the name. There we go. That was the Twitch I was hearing. Let's see how many things I can listen to here. And pressing buttons and messing things up, but we're back. And welcome back to Nerd Week Live, brought to you here by the folks at Nerd Caliber. I'm Rodney Brown, the editor-in-chief of Nerd Caliber, first-person shooter on Facebook, cosplay photographer, Burley_adopter as a tech journalist on Twitter and some other places. Let's see. The longest away from us will be the first, the man in the hat. Introduce yourself, sir.
Hello, Byron McNeil, a.k.a. Byron D0 on various platforms from Facebook to now TikTok. I am a contributing writer for Nerd Caliber. I do social media at... What did I do before, Rodney?
Oh, you did social media. There were these things that happened last year called conventions. And we used to go to them, and we'd do video, and we'd take pictures, and we'd have fun, and we'd do panels, and all sorts of fun, interesting stuff. I almost remember them.
So long ago. But yeah. And I have a couple other projects going on, but the one I want to pick up tonight is my latest webcomic called Codename Blackbird. It is essentially a Black Lives Matter story with superheroes in it.
Awesome. Where can they find it?
codenameblackbird.thecomicseries.com.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Cool. Check it out.
Yeah, me too. I was like, you've got a webcomic? You've had it for like weeks? When the...
Love it.
Oh, I love Facebook's algorithm. And my bearded brother with a... Okay, you're wearing a blue t-shirt. I'm wearing a black one, but that's okay. Introduce yourself, sir.
Hi everybody, Greg Snyder, aka Wonder Llama, cosplay and or photography, although precious little of either of those things these days, sadly enough. Associate editor here at Nerd Caliber, longtime contributor, photographer, video guy on occasion. I'm usually the guy who is poking Rodney with a sharp pointy stick to make him chuckle. Because the question does come up from time to time, are we related? And shockingly enough, no, we are not, but we very easily could be.
You would think.
The more you know.
Exactly. The more you know. Now you know that we're not related. I guess that's about the only thing. Anyway, we've got a decent amount of things to cover tonight because we were off last week. We just couldn't get a connection to the streaming servers in the cloud in New York because of the tropical storm. So it just wasn't happening. So we've got stuff left over, and we've got a whole bunch of new stuff, and we're gonna kind of bookend this with, oh my God, what were they thinking, and oh my God, what was he thinking? But there'll be some good stuff in the middle. Trust me, there will be. That leads us to, you know what? I'm actually going to do a couple of promos before we get going. This is the final week if you want to register for the online cosplay contest, the summer cosplay contest series that we're putting on with the Covenator. Registration ends Saturday night, August 15th. So please, if you're interested in that, go to nerdcaliber.com, click on the link in the red bar, and it'll take you to all the information. There are cash prizes. You can compete if you win for the August qualifier. Right after that, you can compete for the total final, the top three winners of June, July, and August, for $250 in cash money in your pocket or in your PayPal or in your whatever. And we are also going to be doing a panel at PAX Online. We're going to be doing our advanced cosplay Q&A panel, which we love, they love, everybody has fun. But it's a pre-recorded event, so we want you to put in your most difficult and challenging cosplay problem as a question to our panelists so that we can answer them in a recording that we're going to be doing. The event itself will be Thursday, September, whatever Thursday, September is. Within that week. I'll have to look that up. Late in the evening, sadly. It's like 8:30 Eastern time, which would then
10?
be 11:30 out at PAX Online.
September 10th?
Is that a Thursday? Yes.
It's either the 3rd or the 10th.
Oh, it's the 10th. So it's the later weekend.
Second Tuesday.
Yeah.
Second Thursday of September.
Exactly. Thank you, Mr. Calendar.
Sorry. The fact that we're going to be in it makes it a lot more fun than San Diego Comic-Con already.
This is true. 100% true.
So, Rodney, can I ask a question for our esteemed panel?
Yes.
What can I do to put on some costumes and get drunk with my friends?
I'll submit it. Let's see whether the panel accepts that one. If you want to ask that kind of question, or something that's a little bit more related to, what kind of stitch do I need to put this together? How do I resin cast this so it looks like that? Those sort of things. Go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/nerdcaliber. You'll see the post. Put your comment in there. And those comments, those questions as a comment will then go to our panelists. And if they get chosen, they'll be answered in the panel.
So did we consider submitting the cosplay and photography shootout for PAX Virtual?
No. Yeah, actually, now we're getting off the... Yeah, we did. And then went, how's that going to work?
I have no idea how that works.
We did submit...
Probably could have done it. If you're pre-recording and submitting stuff, we could hypothetically have given people a week. There's no way to draw names. There's no way to randomly assign people.
That's
so
true.
It would be catch as catch can, but that would have been kind of interesting.
We did submit a panel on doing virtual photo shoots, and they didn't like that one, apparently. Or somebody else already did it. I don't know. We didn't get picked up. Anyway.
All right. Speaking of conventions that we're not going to in person.
Ooh! The transition I wish I made. That, of course, is... Well, it's not of course. You don't know it unless you recognize that pillar. That's in New York Comic Con from this last fall. That is the wonderful Miss Molly the cosplayer and Marky Mark... How does Marky Mark cosplay? How does... Anyway. As a kind of a spoiler for an upcoming topic, so nobody mentioned that. It's, of course, Wonder Woman and Batman, maybe? Sort of. But the news isn't about them, although there will be news sort of about them coming up. The news is actually about New York Comic Con, and that is New York Comic Con is the latest to say there will be no physical event this year. That news dropped a few hours ago. They're going to an online-only convention, so we'll be submitting other panels to them as well. Wait for that. But you know what? I forgot to give the hellos. Hello, Izzy on the YouTubes. Hello, Cassie. Hello, Harry. Hello, Morgan. Not Harry Morgan, great actor. Hello, Asunta. And hello, Luminous. Luminous, the tears are for no New York Comic Con. Yeah, I feel that. I feel the tears for no New York Comic Con if we weren't all going to risk dying. The risking dying, yeah. So, all right, let's Byron. How do you feel about this? What are you going to miss the most?
I'm definitely going to miss seeing all my friends there, because that's the main reason that I go to New York Comic Con, is to see people that I haven't seen forever, do the occasional photo shoot, and enjoy all the con exclusives. And I'm gonna miss all that. I won't miss the crowds. I will definitely miss the after parties. R.I.P. Way Station.
Some epic after parties there.
That's true.
Yeah, same. There's that was maybe the second or third con that I ever went to. Rodney, one of my favorite photos that I have of me of barf, sad barf, because I couldn't get into some press event I was trying to sneak into, and you got a very funny photo of me sitting on the stairs. I've got people that I met the first year that I went that I see that one weekend a year that I'm not going to catch up with this year. But that said, I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 years ago, probably 3 years ago, I got some genuinely horrific respiratory disease and I'm 99% sure that it was from the Javits Center during New York. And it was like I was gun shy about going back there during not pandemic times. So there was, unless somebody had perfected personal boy in the plastic bubble type suits that we could all get there, I was sad to say I was not going to be going.
Yeah, I mean, we all know a good friend, fellow photographer, who almost died from something he caught at New York Comic Con. So, it's not exactly the safest con at all anyway. And then on top of that, you add the whole COVID thing, and I don't think anybody expects, now that it's August, that early October things are going to be good enough, clear enough that
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So it was a smart call on their part. I'm glad they're going online so we can try to do some panels like we have done. We've done panels at New York, God, I think every year for the past 4. To again, great acceptance, and they do love us down there. Flashcord. So name a more. This is on Twitch. Name a more iconic pillar. You can't. I believe he's referring to that pillar there.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And he also suggests Jake Gyllenhaal Bubble Boy cosplay.
Why not?
Sure.
I'm like laughing at the visual of the tens of thousands of people all in their little blow up Bubble Boy costumes bouncing off each other like pinball on heavy drugs in the Javits Center.
Or you have someone cosplay as a Katamari.
Come on, that'd be even worse. You're literally attaching people to you. How dangerous would that be? Carly on Facebook Live, welcome. Hello all. Hi all, she says. So New York Comic Con, nobody's gonna get swarming over there. We're not going to be staying at any super inexpensive hotel way out in Queens and eating amazing Asian food.
Oh my God, we eat so well out there.
Okay.
It's a schlep, but it's worth it because we eat pretty good.
We eat pretty good. That may be the one thing I miss. Well, missing, seeing, like you said, Greg, my friends, that there are people I only see at New York Comic Con, and I'm going to miss that.
I think every year that I've been there for the last 5, I've worked. Anybody who's a regular knows one of our frequent weekly live show contributors, Gogo Incognito rather. She and I have worked together, whether we're shooting, whether we're doing, she's on camera, I'm running video. And, for people that don't get to spend a lot of, time IRL together, even though it's busy and crazy and you're running around and talking, to be able to wander around with somebody for an entire day, shooting video together, it's a ton of fun. And I'm going to miss that. So yeah, I think we may have to do some virtual, Zoom based, get together and something.
Oh, no. Anthony's on it. COVID Mari Damachi. Awesome. All right. Moving on to our next topic, and we continue with gee, that's not good news. So you may recognize that individual. It's of course Jared Leto, who from his role in Blade Runner 2049. The news is that Leto. It's hard for me to say this. Leto has been tapped to star in a Tron sequel, another Tron sequel, the next Tron movie. That will be directed by Garth Davis.
What's he done?
So, art house films. 2018's Mary Magdalene and his critically acclaimed, this is according to the article in Deadline, 2016 drama Lion, which received 6 Oscar nominations, including for Best Picture. Really? Okay. I missed that. So, he's an interesting director. It's still going to star Jared Leto.
Yeah.
So,
who Disney owns that franchise, right?
Yeah, this is a Disney property.
Point, it's probably easier to identify if properties not owned by Disney, but yeah. So I'd be curious. I'll be blunt here. I'm never going to see this movie. I fucking hate Jared Leto. Sorry for the F-bomb there, but yeah, can't stand him. I don't. I mean, I feel like Disney has their formulas that they use, and they want people to hew closely to those formulas that they think are going to be the moneymakers. And hiring quote-unquote art house directors, indie directors to do stuff like that. I mean, look what happened in the Star Wars side of things when, the things weren't going quite to Kathleen Kennedy's vision, etc. It's a bit of a stretch, I realize. Tron doesn't have that kind of anything.
No.
But yeah, I'm curious what the thinking is behind bringing somebody in like that for what's basically a big, loud CGI fest.
Explain it to us, Byron. How did their brains do this?
I don't even know, but I do know one thing for certain. In my personal experience, art house directors and pop culture don't mesh very well. Look no further than the first Thor movie. You have like this acclaimed actor director Kenneth Branagh doing his best with something that he clearly only has a passing knowledge of, and it was fine.
Yeah.
It was fine. Did he direct Dark World? I don't remember.
No, he did not come back for Dark World.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good example. There are times when it has worked out, and it depends on whether or not you think Rian Johnson's Last Jedi was a good movie or not.
I did.
So, I think that worked out. I know that there are plenty of people who don't, and who would probably now hate me because I said that. But, hey, that's life.
As we often say here, your mileage may vary.
Exactly. So, given how toxic in so many different communities Leto is, I just don't see why Disney would make this move. I mean, unless they really think he's that bankable a star. He's going to be the lead in Mobius, or he is the lead in Mobius, and if Mobius sinks like a stone, they're going to really regret this decision. And in fact, if this doesn't start filming before then, you may see it being recast for whatever reasons they come up with.
Creative differences.
Exactly.
Jared Leto wanted to spend more time at home being horrible to his family.
Yeah. Hey, like I said in the comments, at least, in this case, if he gives dead things to the cast members, it'll be dead software, and so it won't smell as bad as dead rats. So.
Well, for what it's worth, the last paragraph of this Deadline article does say that it's in development, but has not officially had a green light. So this could all be vaporware, to use a software term.
Let us hope it is in fact vaporware, that it disappears like his roles as the Joker in upcoming Warner Brothers movies.
Which is shovelware.
I mean, he was the single worst thing in Blade Runner 2049.
As an actor, I actually like Jared Leto. I really liked his performances in Lord of War, in oh god, I can't think of the name of it, the drug movie. Darren Aronofsky. Anyway, he can be really, really good. He can also be Suicide Squad Joker. And in some of the roles he chooses and the way he is in real life, he's a horrible human being. There's no question about that. But he was, in my mind, not the worst thing about 2049. Not that there was really much bad about 2049.
Name 17 things that were worse than he was.
17, huh?
Yeah.
Well, we don't have time because we've got a lot of topics. So, moving on to our next Disney decision. And this was a couple of weeks old now, so everybody's already talked this out to death. But the news was fairly new when we were going to talk about it last week, and that is that Disney has decided, in fact, to put Mulan onto Disney Plus, and decided that the way you're going to be able to see it is you have to pay a $30 digital ownership. So you buy, finger quotes, the movie, as opposed to paying $30 to like lease it, or rent it, or whatever, a 2-day or whatever rental. That prompted, first off, a lot of confusion, because a lot of people didn't realize it was a purchase. They just thought, oh, $30 to rent a movie? What are you, nuts? But then it also prompted an awful lot of still consternation, that $30 to pay for a video on demand for a service you're already paying for, even if you're going to own that product, even though it'll only be available on that on-demand service, assuming that stays around forever and ever, is still a kind of a questionable business decision. From a consumer standpoint. From a business standpoint.
Yeah.
No. Pretty smart.
It makes perfect sense from Disney's standpoint. They're not going to be able to make the kind of big 8-figure ticket sales that they would normally expect from a movie like this in U.S. theaters. What are they saying? They're still going to be doing, I think the last time we talked about this, they're still looking at somewhat widespread rollouts in China, New Zealand, and Australia, places that have Corona under control more. So it makes sense. They're trying to recoup some of that. It's an expensive movie. They've been banking on this for a long time. We've talked about this several times. Of all of the live-action remakes of Disney animated classics, this is one of the very few ones that I'm genuinely looking forward to. I think it's got the potential to translate really well, whereas Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, not so much. But anyway, so yeah, it makes perfect sense. I don't love the whole, well, it's you buy it, but you're basically buying it as long as you keep Disney Plus. That's a little bit of the old, lock you, well, even more so of a lock you in. At least some of the, I don't know whether Amazon does this, or that they give you the ability to download movies that you've bought that you can watch off, if you quit Amazon. Most of the cable companies do that. So, who knows? Safe to say it'll be out on some digital, as Lumina said, Blu-ray or HD DVD or whatever.
Yep.
Physical medium.
Hoping that Luminous is right on this. Byron, do we want to talk about the actress controversy?
Yeah. I mean, she's made a point to make it known that she's pro Hong Kong police, and aside from our own police here, they're probably some of the most corrupt out there.
Oh, come on, don't sell the Moscow cops short. I'm just saying.
Okay, fair enough.
But anyway.
But yeah, and I've heard a lot of arguments about that, about like why she sides with them. It's like to protect yourself, but it's just like, why not just stay silent if you want to protect yourself?
Yeah, and I get that argument, and we're not in that culture. We're not in that moment in Hong Kong or China, where if we don't stand up for the government, it could possibly negatively affect not only our career but our entire families. Still, it's kind of nice to see people who have backbones.
That's fair. I mean, I will definitely give her that.
Yeah. I don't know that I have friends, we all have friends who are planning to boycott this because of her stance.
I'm considering it.
Now, I would like to see it. I wouldn't pay money to own it anyway, because I don't own any Disney movies. Well, except for the stuff that I bought for my son when he was of the age to watch The Fox and the Hound nonstop for months. But anyway,
which clearly scarred you for life.
Apparently, that movie. Even then, I would cry at the end of that movie. Come on. Right. Well, not the end, but anyway. No spoilers.
I know what you're talking
for a movie that's 50 years old, 70 years old, whatever. But I'm going to wait until it hits the actual streaming part of the streaming service. If we get somehow the ability to get a press screening of it, we'll have a review. If one of our fans wants to, I know. We haven't been offered any press screenings for anything hitting a streaming service yet.
Nope.
So apparently that's just not happening. What are you singing? Why?
Theme song to One Piece.
Why?
Yes.
Okay. Never mind. Anyway.
What's One Piece about? What's One Piece about?
Pirates. Yeah, we don't condone piracy here, kids. You do you, but we don't condone piracy here. Anyway, yeah. So September 4th is when this lands, and get your $30 ready if you're one of those people. And a big shout out once again to Flashcord for coming up with the Jared Leto drug movie, Darren Aronofsky's Requiem for a Dream. It's one of the most disturbing movies you'll ever see, but it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's one of my faves.
Yep. Yeah, definitely really cool. All right, moving on. That is, of course, Ezra Miller as the Flash, and I'm so lazy that I decided to use this image twice. This is not specifically a Flash story. It is a story about the fact that DC Comics has joined its parent Warner Brothers, who yesterday laid off a whole bunch of people, by announcing that it will also be laying off staff members as well. According to Variety, 650 layoffs planned to come from Warner Brothers. It's Warner Brothers' parent, HBO, 175 staffers. And we don't have a specific number about how many they're planning on laying off at DC Comics itself. But, they're apparently just being told they're being laid off, according to this update they posted here. The positions will be eliminated in October, so I guess they will still have their jobs for a little while. Hey, the biggest contraction in the U.S. economy in the history of keeping records was the last fiscal quarter.
Yep.
I wish there was a way to say that this was awful and unexpected and shouldn't happen, and it shouldn't happen. We don't want anybody to lose their jobs, but it's not surprising
at all, honestly. There's not they're bread a lot of, for a company like Warner Brothers and the subsidiary companies. Their bread and butter comes from us buying stuff and going to see their movies, playing their games, and whatnot. And that's just not very feasible right now.
It just occurred to me, I wonder how many people at Warner Brothers Interactive here in the Boston area are going to be losing their jobs. I forgot that they bought out Turbine Software, and Turbine is essentially now Warner Brothers Games, and one of their linchpins for producing all kinds of games, including a lot of the DC-based stuff. Yikes.
Yep, not hugely surprising. The entertainment industry in general is taking a huge hit.
Yep, and it will keep happening, sadly. Luminous, DC Direct, the toy division within Warner Brothers, was shut down completely after 22 years in business. And Luminous would know. Luminous, is your YouTube channel still named Godzilla vs. Heisenberg? If not, let us know. But if it is, check it out. He does fantastic figurine and toy reviews. But anyway, yeah, it's hurting, folks. The entertainment industry out there is hurting, and it will trickle down to all of us. No question about that. This is what real trickle-down economics means.
Yep.
All right, moving on to that, or to something. Let's go into a completely fantasy world. Last week, or actually the week before last, we got the first look at some of the animation and the character images from the Inuyasha sequel, Yashahime, Princess Half Demon, which is the story of this person right here, which is, of course, Inuyasha and Kagome's daughter. And it's huge anticipation for this series. Inuyasha was absolutely beloved as one of the early big hits in anime in the West, and of course in Japan, but in the West as well. And there's an awful lot of people looking forward to this. I gotta say, the animation, I just did finger quotes and nobody's gonna see that, but the animation that they showed looked a little bit more like animated web or animated comic book. What do they call those? They're not web comics, because those are now, anyway, the animated frames of digital comics where they just sort of move a little bit. So I'm guessing this is really super early in any examples of the animation. But the character designs look good. Nice updates on the Inuyasha look. And if you're a fan, being completely upfront, never watched a single episode. It's now at that point where it's just way too many of them, and I'm not going to get that kind of time investment. Byron, as our resident, even more than me, anime nut, Inuyasha and Yashahime, what do we say?
I'll give it a go. I mean, if it definitely caught my attention. Doesn't look terrible. I'm still missing. I'm still uncertain about a lot of aspects of the story. But once all pieces fall into place, I'm sure I'll have a better opinion of it.
Yeah, I know nothing of the story, so other than what I've read of Inuyasha, trying to pay attention to cosplayers, and that's pretty much it. Mm-hmm. I do know that there's supposed to be a tussle between Yashahime and the child of was it Sesshomaru?
Yeah.
And somebody else. I'm not sure who the other parent is in that situation.
Some people were saying it's a little girl that he had traveled with him for a while, but who knows?
Yeah, I'm gonna say let's hope that's not the case. But anyway, you're not weighing in there, Greg. Not a big Inuyasha fan?
I got nothing. I can't say I've watched it.
I've seen some fantastic cosplay. I will have to say that.
Absolutely.
All right, moving on to...
Just super quickly about that one. As all three of us are photographers, video people, we go to a ton of conventions. If you've been listening from the we have gone to many conventions. I'm always amused by the fact, I often have no idea what somebody's cosplay is when it's from anime, because anime fans, as much or more so than any other broad umbrella of fandom, go for the deep cut favorite thing that 9 other people in the world have ever heard of, and spend a ton of time and money and effort and sweat and hot glue obsessing over getting it just right, to the point where it's I don't need to know what it's from. I just need to go, oh, holy cow, that's an amazing costume. Anime Boston, who we've worked at for many years, unless it's something super obvious that I knew, I just went, I'm sorry, I don't know what your costume is, but it's amazing. Tell me about it. And I learned a lot of stuff. It was a great opportunity.
I will have to say the most obscure thing like that I've ever seen was actually from Venture Brothers. Somebody made the armored version of one of the henchmen that is seen in one episode, and it's not even seen in the episode. It's a drawing that the henchman made of what they think they would like their armor to be if they ever got armor. Mm-hmm. And somebody made that cosplay.
Of course. Dude, I've seen not one, not two, but 3 different people at 3 different cons do Hamurai from one short bit of one Rick and Morty episode. It's a throwaway character. It's a hysterical pun. And I've seen 3 different people doing actual meat-based samurai costumes. So, anyway, didn't mean to go down that particular rabbit hole too far, but yeah, it's a never-ending source of incredible costumes.
This is true. All right, we're going to race out of that rabbit hole into news about The Flash. And again, this is holdover.
Segue!
See? And see, I told you I was lazy and I was going to use the same image for both the DC and an upcoming thing we're going to talk about. And that thing is that we finally have confirmation from the director of the upcoming Flash movie that it will, at least in part, be based on the Flashpoint storyline from DC Comics. And this is the throwback to that very first image we showed when we were talking about New York Comic Con. No spoilers, folks. Again, Flashpoint's been out forever. Everybody knows this. But so yeah, the director, and I just completely lost it. Where's the article? Here we are. Andy Muschietti, who was the director of It and It Chapter 2, by the way. So yeah, he's done some popular stuff. Is going to be making the new Ezra Miller Flash finally, if it actually ever happens. And he has said that, let's have his quote here. It is a story of time travel. Flash travels back to try to save his mother. It's a spectacular action movie, but it has a big heart. That's the beginning of and what sets off Flashpoint. So, could be really interesting.
I'm going to just say it. This is a Hail Mary from the DCEU.
Fair.
Yeah. I don't know. So I don't know if you can call it a Hail Mary. They've tried to throw that football 3 times now. Like 3 different directors. Ezra Miller himself tried to write the script once. I'm not sure if this is a Hail Mary so much as oh my God, let's throw it out into the, sidelines near the end zone so we don't get sacked.
Classic Tom Brady toss-up.
Tom Brady toss-up. Yep. But I can see. So expound on why DC needs a Hail Mary.
Oh, absolutely. They definitely. I mean, they've seemed to have learned from a lot of their mistakes, but there's nothing cohesive. So.
True, but remember, they've said that they don't want anything cohesive at this point, that they failed, and that they're going with Joker-style movies, that they're going to have, individual stories that aren't necessarily connected one to the other, which will be interesting because if this isn't, in fact, DCEU, as you noticed from this image back at the beginning of the show, one of the characters, well, you've got a version of Batman, and you've got a version of Wonder Woman in this storyline. Are they going to use Gal Gadot? Are they going to use Robert Pattinson? Is Robert Pattinson's Batman actually in the continuity? I mean, they're building a continuity around it. They're going to, as we talked about a few weeks ago, they're going to be doing a Gotham-like, detectives investigating criminals storyline as a series that is set specifically in the Pattinson upcoming Batman universe. So,
and don't forget the I don't know whether it's north of a rumor, south of confirmed, somewhere in the middle there, or the other way around. Michael Keaton returning for a Bat cameo of some sort. There's a lot of different Bat irons in the fire.
I still haven't seen anything beyond that being in the talks, but I haven't looked in the last couple of weeks, to be honest.
All right, all right. So that hasn't been updated since like June. So it's, it's widely speculated rumor.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, all I could think of is, I mean, even if this had gone swimmingly from day one, and it was easy to write, and people had already, gotten this pulled together. This is a little reminiscent of Universal and the Mummy, of like, all right, we've got this huge bank of intellectual property, of characters, of stories. We got to tie them all together and put up these summer blockbuster tentpole movies. Universal crashed and burned, and they said, well, we're just gonna forget the interconnected universe. We'll just do a cool zombie movie or a cool werewolf movie or a cool Invisible Man movie, which cool, I'm all for that. Don't necessarily try too hard to jam that square peg through the round hole. Do you guys think this has the potential to be that same sort of thing? They're setting up a lot of hopes that this ties everything together, and it could have the opposite effect.
I hope to God that they don't. That they're just doing this standalone movie, because.
I would like to see them try again. Honestly, I like the idea of integrated universes. The problem is they don't have anybody like Kevin Feige. And that Kevin Feige is absolutely 100% what made the integration of the MCU movies work. Whether or not an individual movie worked or not, that's up to the people involved in that movie. But I
would argue that if they gave Jeff Johns the reins,
yep,
he could make something happen. Because doesn't he have like a lot of say in the TV shows, in the Arrowverse?
He has a fair amount of say in the TV shows, particularly the ones that he's involved with. He created the reboot of Stargirl, and so he is completely involved as an executive producer, as one of the episode writers in the Stargirl series. So I don't know whether or not he has that kind of play in the movie world, and I'm not sure how DC/Warner Brothers interconnects like that. It may be like Marvel used to be. Marvel TV was literally in another division of Disney than Marvel Studios, until Kevin Feige said, "It's all mine."
So, all right. So here's another interesting question. I'll readily confess to not being super well. I don't know Flash mythology very well. But I'm broadly familiar with some of the stuff. Is Reverse Flash a good bad guy? I mean, most of these movies come down to how good the bad guy is, how good the villain is in a movie.
I mean, yeah, it depends on who was writing him.
Yeah. There was an amazing comic in which the actual Reverse Flash, Eobard Thawne, takes out Batman, and it's brutal. It's the worst beating Batman's ever had, probably shy of Bane breaking his back. It's a wonderful example of what realistically somebody with super speed and a willingness to just kill could do to somebody.
I mean, Eobard Thawne is like one of the things that makes him an interesting villain is his arrogance.
Yes.
And like that was like one of the things they got superbly right in the TV series, was like that arrogance about him.
Yeah, actually, they did an excellent job with that. I'll give you that. Flash Gordon coming through with the wonderful, timely observations. Oh yeah, that Batman you had in the NYCC photo earlier is from Flashpoint. Nailed it. All right, we'll see how that works out. We're going to move on to the next one so that Byron wakes up, because I saw him yawning here. There you go, Byron. It's the DBZ toy animation. So before Byron goes ballistic on this thing here with excitement, I'll give you the quick rundown of what the news is. A bunch of Japanese studios are combining together to create a YouTube channel in which they will put on subtitled and in some cases dubbed anime series that they have created. And they are Toei Animation, Dragon Ball, Kodansha, Attack on Titan, Nippon Animation, and this is a few more, but it doesn't have the link here in this comicbook.com article as to who all of them are. Here we go, a little bit further. Tezuka Productions, Shogakukan, Shueisha Productions, and Shinai Animation. Those last three I don't really know anything about, although Byron knows Tezuka Productions. What do they do, Byron?
I believe that's like the people that they handle like any modernizations of Osamu Tezuka's work. I'm not entirely certain, but if I feel like that's the case, Shueisha, I know they're the parent company for Shonen Jump.
That would make sense,
Yeah.
because a lot of these titles are coming from Shonen Jump stuff.
Yeah, especially, and they work very closely with Toei, so that makes sense. Which means we might also see a lot of properties that a lot of properties that are under the Shueisha name, but not necessarily under their respective studio.
Yeah, of course. Well, that makes sense. I just looked up Tezuka Productions, and yeah, they did both the 1980 and 2003 Astro Boy reboot series.
I did enjoy that one.
So yeah, it's squarely shonen stuff. It's right in the shonen wheelhouse here. But it's going to be a YouTube channel. As far as I know, it's not going to be like YouTube Premium based on what I saw. So you get to watch this just because it's on YouTube. Currently only available in Japan, but the plan is to open it up to other markets. Subtitles are being planned for English and Chinese speakers in both markets. As both markets still rely on torrent sites piracy at times. We don't condone piracy here, folks. But what you do is up to you. So yeah, it doesn't say here when this is going to launch here in the U.S., but I think this would be a really big thing for a lot of the anime fans who sadly get on their Pirate Bays and whatever and download Dragon Ball Z episodes they can't see. Moving on to more anime news, or animation news, I guess.
Yes.
That is the wonderful Redfield design, the second place winner in our first summer cosplay contest series, June, and a judge in our July series, as Alistor, I think is what I read. I don't know anything about Hazbin Hotel from the series Hazbin Hotel, or the web comic cartoon series Hazbin Hotel.
Yeah, it's a web cartoon. It was like a one-shot web cartoon.
Yeah. The news is A24 Productions, of all people, is going to be making an animated version of Hazbin Hotel. Trying to think of, it says where this is going to drop. It does not. If you don't know Hazbin Hotel, and I don't, it's an adult-targeted black comedy which follows Charlie, the princess of hell, as she tries to do the impossible, turn her demon subjects to the light, and humanely fix overpopulation in her violent, chaotic kingdom.
It's also a musical.
Okay.
Oh,
Apparently it's also
musical.
a musical?
Sweet.
Yes.
The only thing I know
lot
about
going
this is that it blew up insanely in the course of less than a year in the cosplay community.
Oh yes. I found out about it through like overlapping with the Steven Universe fan base. I saw on a fan art, so eventually I checked it out, and it's definitely an entertaining little bit of media. I love the animation. I love the character designs. It's pretty risque, yeah. I mean, like you said, it's for adults.
Yeah,
So,
and I think that may be the source of the controversy around this. Apparently, there's a vocal minority community, not a minority community, a vocal small community of people on the internet who think that the creator of this is a horrible person, based on some of the actions of, or some of their interpretations of some of the actions of some of the characters in this adult-oriented black comedy.
are they more religious types?
No, they are. I don't want to use the term social justice warrior as a pejorative because I don't think it is. They are people who are perhaps not properly interpreting challenging adult content in the way it's meant. is a kind of a really half-assed way of putting it. They would be the kind of people who you would think would be really upset at the way Rick and Morty presents certain things about characters and their, attitudes on sexuality or race or things like that.
I can understand the discourse to an extent, because one of the characters is a trans prostitute, and I'm not sure if the actor that's playing them is trans themselves. So,
and I think some of the comments I've heard is the fact that you've got a trans character and the first thing you do is you think of them as a prostitute. I understand that. I get that. It's also true that there are trans prostitutes, just like there are cis prostitutes, and
and plus they're in hell.
Yeah, and they're in hell. So I don't put an awful lot of weight behind the controversy, and I don't think it's going to weigh in too heavily on whether this is going to be a success, based on, like I said, the way I've seen it explode in the cosplay community. Honestly, particularly among a lot of people who are non-binary or trans themselves, I think it's going to take off like a rocket. Greg, a lot of Hazbin Hotel watching?
Well, I'm scrolling through YouTube and bookmarking a couple things to watch later, because it does look right up my right down my rabbit hole, I guess you'd say.
Actually, really, now that I think about it, after reading up on it, honestly, I literally only knew it from cosplay and went, well, these are really interesting characters.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't seen it, don't know anything about it. Have seen quite a few what do you call it, cosplayers, and I don't think I've shot with any, but yeah, I'm definitely anything that features dealing with overpopulation and hell. It's already an intriguing concept right there.
Well, yeah, Little Nicky.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I finally got a chance to start listening to the Sandman audiobook.
Oh, cool.
And it literally just got through the sequence where Morpheus goes to hell and has what amounts to a rap battle to get his helmet back. So
nice.
Yeah.
All right, we're moving on to our penultimate story here, because we're actually coming pretty close to an hour. Wow, we might even wrap this up within just a few minutes over. That, of course, is the wonderful Keanu Reeves. I forgot what he said. It's not spectacular. It's not wonderful. Anyway, that Keanu Reeves. And the news is that they're going to be making a John Wick 5. John Wick 4 hasn't even started. And the reason they announced that they're making a John Wick 5 this early is they are going to be making it back-to-back with John Wick 4, a la Lord of the Rings or some other movies that were made that way. Cool.
You mean the one based off of that book from She Who Shall Not Be Named?
Yeah, actually that's true. But yeah, I guess so. They filmed the last book as 2 parts, and they did film them back to back. So good point. The last Harry Potter book by J.K. Turfing. But yeah, so John Wick 5. It's gonna happen, folks.
I mean, it makes sense. Getting all of your crew back together to reassemble a staff to shoot it adds a huge chunk of time and a huge chunk of expense, especially if you're doing a lot of location stuff. I mean, I've seen, obviously, Lord of the Rings is the foremost example of that. But I've seen interviews with Peter Jackson where he basically said he had to do it that way. There's no way that movie, that trilogy, could have been filmed any other way. You couldn't, do one movie, go through all the editing, start writing the second one, et cetera, et cetera. So there's definite economies to be found here. It saves money. depending on what the story is, I mean, it's conceivable that it'll be more of a two-parter rather than episode 4 and episode 5, so to speak. I don't think they've written it yet, so that's total speculation on my part. But I mean, yeah, it would be pretty cool to take that as like, cool, we've got the opportunity to shoot this whole thing. Can we do it like, you know, a two-parter where you've got a cool cliffhanger at the end of 4 that's already built in, where you've got storylines that carry over to the 5th one, as opposed to just, oh, cool, 4 made enough money, we can make 5. Then you start writing and shooting it.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of did that with 2 to 3, actually. I mean, 2 ends, you know exactly where 3 is going to start. And I can't believe at the end of this article it says the one example I really thought I should have thought of is Matrix Reloaded and Matrix Revolutions were shot back to back after they decided to do sequels and make it a trilogy. With, of course, Keanu Reeves. It's like, oh, well, duh. Now I feel like an idiot.
You know, you can be forgiven for those 2 movies falling off your mental radar.
Which is fair. Yes, very fair. I'm definitely excited for more John Wick, even though their marketing tricked us into thinking it was going to be a trilogy.
True, and I guess it did kind of wrap up in a way that it could have possibly been the end at 3, but not really. I mean, they opened up his world so much bigger in 3 that it's got to be explored. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So 4 apparently still is on schedule to drop in May 27th, Memorial Day weekend. So,
but where?
So a year between movies, it would be awesome.
That would be great. Yep. Yeah, May 27th in China, because we won't be ready for it by then. Cassie, welcome back to the show. And Cassie, just to give you a heads up, your messages get knocked out, I think, by our chat bot. So if there's all caps or if it's like a lot of all emotes, those just get redacted. But welcome back to the show, and we're just about to hit our last topic of the evening. And like I said, we're bookmarking the bad stuff, so here we go. That is, of course, the man in the cap, George R.R. Martin, as some writers have tongue-in-cheek called him lately, George Ronald Reagan Martin.
Pause.
And there's 2 pieces of news here, which 2 weeks ago he had a pretty awful week. One of the pieces of news is that he put out an announcement of where he stood on Winds of Winter. And it was kind of, I'm doing a really good job. I finished a chapter a couple of days ago, I finished one last week, and I finished one the week before that, and yay, isn't this great? And then he talked about the fact that he wouldn't actually physically be going to Con Zealand in New Zealand, which is where the World Science Fiction Convention was being held, and he was going to be a presenter the host at the Hugo Awards, Science Fiction Writing Awards. This year, because it was canceled, they were doing the Hugos pre-recorded and going to be online only. And then he said he hopes that both he will be back at Con Zealand and with Winds of Winter in hand next year. So he's telling us already he's not entirely sure that August of 2021 this book will be out.
Hooray!
Well, yay, he's writing it. He's still saying he's not sure it will be ready in August of 2021.
I'm going to curb my opinions on this because I don't want us to get demonetized.
Well, don't swear and about this part or any part, but.
Oh, I mean, this is basically insert sexual innuendo here, coming from George R.R. Martin.
Oh yeah, so yeah, he's kind of given us the short strokes.
Yes.
Greg, I know you're as interested in seeing this book as I am, so.
Yep. I need a cold shower after this episode.
Yeah, you know what? It's at this point, it is what it is. Sorry, that phrase has become very freighted lately.
Yes.
Without diving down that rabbit hole. It'll come out when it's going to come out. There's nothing any of us can say. There's no amount of backlash online or Twitter hot takes. The man's going to write it when he's going to write it. I would love for it to come out sooner. I'm sure the publishing world would love for it to come out sooner. Everyone around it would love for it to come out sooner. But the guy's like 187 years old. It can't. He's written himself into, painted black ink into so many corners with plot lines and characters that it's understandably brutally hard to try and do service and justice to make things make sense.
Yep.
And I'm a fan of a bunch of series that have taken forever for second, third, fourth books to come out. And it's really easy as a fan to criticize, to nag, to be like, dear author, what the bleep are you doing? Why aren't... And it's like, dude, you don't know what their deal is. Martin's harder to defend because he keeps coming out with these things saying, I'd love to finish this up, but I've got to write this screenplay and I've got to do this other thing. And
got to make tons of money while they butcher my other books.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we were talking about this a little bit in our group about this. It's going to be really interesting to see what kind of reception it finally gets. I mean, obviously the series made the books in a lot of ways. It was already a hugely popular book series, but even if you sell, 1 million books is a bestseller, a runaway bestseller in the last 10 or 15 years. That's a drop in the bucket compared to what the HBO series did for Game of Thrones. But the point we were making is people know how it ended, or they know how the series ended. Is the appetite still there? There's going to be completists that'll go out and buy it because they're completists. I'm sure I'll read it. But it's going to be weird as hell to go out and read a book where it's like, oh, did this get retconned to fit HBO? Or is this how he always planned it? We're going to see this big fork in, in these things. So I have a hard time, getting outraged or upset by the delays. I'd love to see it. I'd love for, another book that's going to take me 14 months to read all 7,000 pages of it. But, my life will go on if I don't see it for another 18 months.
I'll say this much. It's probably going to come out around the same time that Hunter x Hunter ends and Half-Life 3 comes out.
Oh, please, not that. Because I actually want it to come out. Good points, and I agree. We can't chastise him for taking the time he needs to, but that still doesn't mean I'm not disappointed that I'm not going to see it sooner rather than later. And I'm just going to be happy I'm not going to worry about whether I think he's retconning or whatever, as long as it's a better ending, which can't not happen. So, but let's talk about reasons why we can be upset with him. So, going back to the picture, this was of course at a previous Hugo Awards ceremony. He was the host for this most recent one a few weeks ago, or co-host, along with Robert Silverberg, who's the one in the striped shirt that you're seeing there. And apparently he was awful at it, like way worse than Ricky Gervais awful. Like, people were coming down on him for being transphobic, for being racist. He apparently mispronounced the names of many, many nominees, despite having their phonetic pronunciation given by the nominees to the committee before the pre-recording ever happened, despite the fact that it was pre-recorded and they could have stopped him and had him just redo it. He just kept screwing up.
Old man yells at cloud. Old man yells at cloud.
Old man yells at cloud. And he went on not a rant, but a long praising tirade about John W. Campbell for the award that is no longer named the John W. Campbell Award because Campbell was such a racist and a bigot that they changed the name of the award. And this is just one of the best things. The winner for this year of something like the Adjacent Content Award or something like that. It's something that isn't actually writing science fiction. It's writing about it, but it's not reviews, whatever. Was the essay by last year's winner, winner of the novella category, I think, N.K. Jemisin, about how awful John W. Campbell was. Oh no, N.K. Jemisin won the John W. Campbell Award as Best Newcomer last year. And wrote an essay about it, about how awful he was.
Not her. N.K. Jemisin, the only person who won back-to-back Hugos for 3 books in a trilogy.
Right.
Going back 3 years now. I'll find it while you're talking. It was a newer author who won something.
You're right.
For.
You're right.
Yeah.
My bad. It's a different author. But won the Campbell Award for newcomer. Wrote this article, and that article won the best, like, adjacent content award or whatever it's called, and in fact was the reason why they changed the name to no longer be the John W. Campbell Newcomer Award. But even with all of that, George R.R. Martin, George Railroad Martin, whatever, went on this long rant about how incredibly important John W. Campbell was to the early science fiction community. And it's true.
Very true.
It's also true that he was very important in the creation of Scientology.
Jeanette Ng. The woman you're speaking of is 2019 John Campbell Award acceptance speech by Jeanette Ng.
Yes, thank you. And I'm sure Martin messed that name up too. So I don't see nothing in anything else I've seen him in public speaking would give me the indication that he would be this so casually slipshod about very important things, but only for those things that are not familiar to a traditional cis white male. And it just, you do your research in advance, unless you really just don't care about the way foreign names are pronounced. And this is a guy who invented fucking Dothraki. I mean, come on. Anyway.
So, all right. So now this is interesting. I mean, this is, who do you? You're going to believe who you choose to believe here, because I'm doing a little bit of research while you're talking there. There's not a Medium post, but something along those lines, that he responded to a lot of this. It's basically saying, I was not asked to re-record any of my videos. The only ones they did were for poor sound or camera work, and I reshot those. There's a story that I was provided the correct phonetic pronunciation. That's completely untrue. I'm not going to obviously read through this whole thing and read it out loud. Feel free to, again, your mileage may vary. Feel free to dive out there and look into this. I don't know whether this was a case of a lot of people seeing what they wanted to see, or whether Martin is trying to cover his butt at this point. I wasn't there. Speaking for myself, it was disappointing to learn that Robert Silverberg isn't a whole lot better. Like, that's something that I didn't know about, and yep. I've been a big fan of his forever. My wife had never read Lord Valentine's Castle, so we listened to the audiobook together. It was one of those seminal series. Books when I was a teenager. There's a couple of Queen songs that I heard when I was reading those books, and when those come up now, I see sea dragons from the book. That level of deep association, and to find out that this guy is kind of your typical 60-plus-year-old cis-het white guy who thinks If you're a cishet white writer, you're great, and if you're not, then you're questionable, to put it, to be kind about it. So it's, it sucks when you find out people you've had some respect for are, not the people you thought they were.
Yep. And I, like I said, the way I put it was that the names were supplied to Con Zealand. I don't know whether they gave them to, the phonetic pronunciations. I don't know whether they gave them to George R.R. Martin in advance. They certainly did not ask him to record any of them, so they had the phonetic pronunciations and probably knew he was screwing it up. But I've done an awful lot of live webinars and interviews and so on over the course of decades, and I always check pronunciation in advance. Always. And this is not Martin's first time hosting anything. It's inexcusable for him to not do that. If you hand somebody, Jeanette, and their last name is capital N lowercase g, and you don't know how to pronounce Eng, ask somebody. Yes, it was an excuse on his part, and I'm sure that this is one of those, everybody fell down on the job. But George R.R. Martin, and as you pointed out, I didn't even mention this, but Bob Silverberg definitely fell down on the job too.
Yep.
So,
and it struck me as a reactionary old white guys being reactionary about young people of color, women, trans, non-binary authors writing in their voices rather than the golden age of sci-fi voices of Asimov, et cetera, et cetera. That it was a very reactionary. We're great, they're not.
Yep. And I, let's not lump Asimov in there,
I literally pulled his name out of thin air for Golden Age. I mean, we could do an entire show on Heinlein, and where do you come down on his politics and his sexual mores, etc.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of Heinlein, the author, or his what do you call it, bibliography, so to speak. But him as a person, he's got some challenges to him. I appreciate
fascist?
Lovecraft. Little fascist here and there.
Down the Death of the Arthur rabbit hole now, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Unfortunately, that's true, and it's going to be true with George R.R. Martin, because there's no question I'm going to read this book, if and when it comes out. If it comes out, God, please don't get COVID, George R.R. Martin.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I was just talking the other day about Wheel of Time and Brandon Sanderson having to come in and finish that series with notes, outlines, imagination, etc. And I don't really want this series to be ended by him or another ghostwriter.
Yep. Christopher Tolkien did an excellent job of working on his dad's notes, but it's not his dad.
Nope.
The Zarek Man. Hi, where are the nerds? I just see three cool guys. Those are not mutually exclusive things, the Zarek Man. Facts. All right, thank you very much. That's our last topic. Someone please tell George R.R. Martin to take his hat out of his butt. And just a quick reminder once again, go to nerdcaliber.com to check out the Summer Cosplay Contest Series information. Saturday night, last time you can sign up. Go to facebook.com/nerdcaliber to check out the questions, where you can put in your questions for the PAX Online Advanced Cosplay Q&A panel. Those questions close Sunday night. No, Saturday night. Those questions close Saturday night too, because we're actually going to be ideally recording Sunday. Anyway, check all those out, folks. Let's see. Let's start work our way back around. Bearded Brother, say goodnight.
Good night, Gracie.
And Hatted Brother, say goodnight.
Cheerio.
And you lost the hat. Look, there you go. All right. And for me, good night, folks. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for the chats. And on YouTube and on the Twitches and on the Facebook Lives. We'll see you next week. Please stay safe. Wear that mask. Wash those hands. Do all the 6 feet apart. Stay socially distanced. Do all the appropriate things. We'll see you next week. And if you do want to watch the Summer Cosplay Contest Series Finals, that is in fact Saturday night, August 20th. Let me looking at my actual calendar. August 22nd, 7 p.m. It'll be on the Nerd Caliber YouTube channel, which you YouTube people are on right now, and it will be on Twitch on The Covenator, Pat Covey's channel. So we'll see you guys later. Have a good one. Good night.